sunlight is the best disinfectant. It is the best sunshine. And if there are individuals, I don't care about party, I don't care about affiliation, this needs to be we need to get to the bottom of it and what's going on. And quite frankly, I don't think someone that allegedly is doing arms deals should be sitting on the Foreign Affairs Committee or the House Armed Services Committee. And if this is what gets to the bottom of what's happening over there, then I support it, and I support the amendment, and let's do it.
For a long time now, the public has been told to stop asking questions and just move along. For a long time, we've watched a sitting member of Congress glide past controversies that would have crushed the life of any ordinary citizen. I'm talking about Ilhan Omar. The allegations have been circulating for years, claims involving immigration issues, tax filings, and serious questions surrounding the marriage that allowed her entry into the country. Yet every time someone tries to dig deeper or demand clarity, the Democratic establishment rushes in to smother the conversation. A political shield was built around her, reinforced again and again, as if she were completely beyond scrutiny. Until today. That shield just cracked. Representative Nancy Mace stepped forward and did what others clearly weren't willing to risk. She didn't tiptoe. She didn't dance around the issue. She called for proof. She pushed for subpoenas. And now you're seeing real fear ripple through the party because they understand something very simple. Once those records are exposed, there's no spinning it away. Accountability is long overdue. Take a look.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Garcia to speak on the Mace amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment to the motion made by Representative Mace.
State your amendment.
At the end of the motion, I'd like to add, pursuant to Clause 2K6 of House Rule 11, the committee shall subpoena all documents and communications from the Department of Defense regarding the military service record of Representative Corey Mills of Florida.
Amen.
All documents, communications, and contracts from the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, of Interior, of Homeland Security, and Department of State related to Representative Corey Mills of Florida. And any business in which he or any relative has a financial or controlling interest, including Packham Defense, Packham Solutions International LLC, ALS LLC, and any documents and communication from the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, in his personal capacity, and the White House regarding any communications around the February 2025 domestic violence incident in Washington, D.C., involving Representative Corey Mills of Florida. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized to explain the amendment.
Mr. Garcia amended the Mace motion. Does any other member seek recognition?
I'd like to just comment on the motion.
Go ahead.
And then
go
I
ahead.
can, if I can comment
I'll
on it
recognize Garcia, then Mace. Go ahead.
I just want to just begin by saying, broadly speaking, on the initial motion, Congresswoman Omar is a proud member of this body and an American, and as American as any member of this body. She's a public servant and a fighter for her constituents, and she represents the American dream. And I know I and House Democrats are honored and proud to support her and to serve with her. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has endured horrific attacks her entire time in public office, and we admire her courage. My motion requests documents on Corey Mills, a Republican from Florida. And I just want to note that this is not the best way of handling these types of issues. And we are introducing this only because this is being introduced on Representative Ilhan Omar. And so we are forced to make this motion and this amendment to Nancy Mace's, Representative Mace's, Nancy Mace's motion. And so with that, I conclude.
Gentleman yields back. So I've had several members request information about trying to determine if Ms. Omar was involved in any of the Somali fraud and this and that. The thing that I've told people is the ethics committee is set up to do that. That's what the ethics committee's sole purpose is to investigate members. So we've got a motion by Mr. Garcia to amend Ms. Mace's motion. Both the amendment and the motion seek this committee to investigate sitting members of Congress. That's not something the Oversight Committee does, but we're a Democratic committee, and I'm not telling anybody in here how to vote. You vote however you want. But that's what the Ethics Committee role is. That's their jurisdiction. And I just wanted to state that. And again, look, I'm for whatever. I'm for transparency. You all vote the way you want. This committee's wired, you're going to vote the way you want anyway. I don't think the ranking member can tell his members how to vote, and I can't tell my members how to vote. I'm just telling you, that's what the Ethics Committee's sole
Mr. Chairman?
purpose in life is. So,
Mr. Chairman,
just stating that,
on a point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
which one do we want to, Mr. Lynch?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I believe you're correct in your assessment that that is not something within our jurisdiction. That would mean that that motion would be out of order, not subject to a vote, and let's do this anyway, even though it's not within our jurisdiction. That's a jurisdiction of another committee, and we normally and regularly refer matters that are not within our jurisdiction to other committees, and that's how that should be handled, sir. Yeah. That's my thought.
The previous chairman of the, I'm going to respond to Mr. Lynch's inquiry. The previous chairwoman of the committee from New York, remind me, Maloney, she said the Oversight Committee has jurisdiction over anything and everything. And I kind of tend to believe that. But now the Ethics Committee has primary jurisdiction. There's no question about that. Now, do we have secondary jurisdiction? Possibly, probably, whatever. I'm not.
Mr. Chairman, under Rule 10, we have the ability. We have full oversight of the U.S. House of Representatives.
We can do pretty much what we want in this committee, but I just want to make it very clear so we don't start going down this road, or this committee will just turn into, investigating other members, whoever's in control. That's what the Ethics Committee set up to do. I'm not. Look, Ms.
But as
Mace,
someone
you
beat
can
their
file any
wife
motion
and it
you
was
want,
covered
and Mr.
up, we
Garcia
should
can
find
file
out.
any
Someone
motion.
married their brother to commit immigration fraud. We should find out. That's what this committee can do.
I understand.
Let's not defame
girlfriend.
members of Congress. Mr. Chairman, I just want to add to you, I just want to agree, first of all. I think Oversight Democrats, we don't believe either of these motions should be discussed. This is not the place to be going after members in this way. If there's a concern about a member, it should be at the Ethics Committee. But if members on the majority are going to go after members in our caucus, we're going to do the same. And so if the Republican majority wants to remove this amendment or vote this amendment down completely, we would join you on that. But what we're not going to do is allow the attack on one of our members.
And I'm
Mr.
not
Chairman,
defending or opposing. I'm just saying that's what the Ethics
This is what we do up here. We just protect each other and protect our own, and nobody ever gets held accountable for anything up here. That's what this whole thing is BS.
It goes to the Ethics Committee.
Chair recognizes.
Which
We're
then it
going
dies in
to
a black
vote on
hole.
this. Everybody's going to vote on this. We're going to vote on this because there's been a motion amendment. We're going to vote on the amendment and the motion. I'm just saying that's what the Ethics Committee is supposed to do. Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are a few times that myself and Mr. Lynch agree on things. I think he would admit that, as I have. But on this occasion, I feel he is correct. And while this committee may have the jurisdiction to do all manner of things, I think this is a dangerous precedent to set. The Ethics Committee is set up specifically for this task. And I empathize with Representative Mace that it seems like there is no accountability over and over again. And maybe in the case of Representative Omar and Representative Mills, I might even feel that way. But we have a process here for a reason, and the Ethics Committee is set up the way it is for a reason so that there is equal representation in a place that is hyper-partisan over the smallest of things. And so that there is a due process where American citizens, individuals in this body and serving members are treated fairly. That's why we have that committee. And if we're going to run members through a partisan committee, which all the other ones are set up to be so, I think that that's going to be something that we might enjoy the outcome of at the moment, but will not enjoy the outcome at some future time when we're in the minority. And so on this occasion, I agree with Mr. Lynch, and I would encourage the chair to render this motion out of order. And with my remaining time, I would cede some time to Mr. Lynch.
I thank the gentleman, and he's correct. We don't agree that often, but I respect the gentleman. The other piece is this: is that anyone in the public can make an allegation of any member here for any reason, political or personal or otherwise. And if we're going to debate allegations from the public against members on this committee, then you are just exposed to whatever anyone throws at you. And all you got to do is spend about 1 minute on social media and think about the cruelty and falsity that can be tossed against any member. And then what the gentlelady is saying is that we want to debate the merits and the veracity of those allegations against us here in an open committee, rather than having it go to the ethics committee, who will be able to vet those allegations, and then if they are meaningful, bring something before the entire body. But we open every member now and in the future to terrible exposure to your reputation if you're going to handle every single allegation here in open public, regardless of how credible that allegation against a member might be. I just think it's bad for the institution, and there's another process that has worked in the past. Thank you. I yield back to the gentleman.
And I
to
yield,
Garcia, or
Mr. Chairman.
Who's got the floor? Mr. Perry?
I yield.
And we,
Or if
you
you
yield
want
to
to
me
engage
for
in a
minute.
colloquy, yeah, absolutely.
I don't disagree with what Ms. Mace is trying to do. I don't disagree with what Mr. Garcia is trying to do. And I don't know, I have no idea what the Ethics Committee is doing on either of these. But I think it's disappointing that Ms. Omar wasn't here for the Minnesota Somali hearing. I mean, that's something I think she should have attended. And I think Mills should, answer questions on the House floor. I think they both, there are a lot of questions the American people have for both of them. So I'm just saying, that's what the Ethics Committee.
Mr. Chair, did you just refer to it as a Somali hearing?
Mr. Chairman, as long as, hold on, as long as
It was a hearing on
we're
Minnesota.
having
I
a
know, it was
colloquy.
a hearing on Minnesota.
Somalians
fraud
committed
in the
billions of
welfare
dollars of
system.
fraud. It
Chairman,
was a
as
Somali
long as we're
hearing.
having-
Somali fraud. There was Somali fraud. There were lots of Somali fraud allegations today.
Mr. Chairman, if we can continue our colloquy, you're the chairman of the committee, and you can make a ruling. Now, we might disagree with the ruling of the chair, but I would tell you it is my position and my recommendation, humbly and respectfully to the chair, that the chair should render this motion invalid. And if we want to challenge the ruling of the chair, then we can do that and have a vote on that. But I think this is of substance enough and import enough that we treat it with the gravity that Mr. Lynch and others have suggested, not only in this circumstance, feeling the same way you do, and in total honesty, quite honestly, the same way that Representative Mace does about whether this has been adjudicated appropriately or untimely or what have you. The point is this the place, is this the process to do those things? And I would agree with my colleagues on either side of the aisle that this is not the place to do what's being implied here in this motion. With that,
And to answer your question on ruling the chair, you asked the question, that was what Mr. Lynch started with. We can vote on whatever we want. In consulting with the parliamentarian, we can vote for this. We can do this. I'm just saying. That's what the ethics.
I understand,
does.
Mr. Chair.
Did you notice how quickly they scrambled to shut that down? The moment the motion hit the floor, the response was immediate. Representative Garcia tried to turn it into a game, tossing out threats of going after Republicans as if that would intimidate Nancy Mace into backing off. He clearly assumed she'd retreat under pressure. Instead, she leaned in. When she said, "Go ahead, let it all come out. Sunlight fixes everything," the mood shifted instantly. That's when it dawned on them that they'd miscalculated badly. Letting this move forward wouldn't just inconvenience Mace, it would drag Ilhan Omar straight into the spotlight. And that's the last thing they want. So they did what they always do. They buried it, they shut it down, they tabled the motion, and the real question is obvious. Why? If there's nothing to hide, if the marriage questions are nonsense, if the immigration paperwork is spotless, why not release it all? Why not dump the documents on the table and make Republicans look foolish? The answer is painfully clear. They can't. This isn't some minor technicality or clerical error. We're talking about serious allegations involving federal immigration law and a sitting member of Congress. and this should have been investigated years ago. For far too long, Omar has been insulated from scrutiny. She's shielded herself with identity politics, surrounded herself with the squad, and relied on party leadership that's more concerned with protecting a vote than enforcing standards. The hypocrisy is staggering. If this were a conservative lawmaker, the press would be parked outside their house around the clock, demanding answers. But because it's Omar, the questions are quietly brushed aside. Nancy Mace is absolutely right. Transparency solves everything, and the fact that Democrats are fighting so aggressively to keep those files locked away tells you exactly what's at stake. The era of immunity needs to end. Subpoena the records, investigate the allegations, and let the consequences fall where they may, just like they would for anyone else. Drop a comment and tell me what you think. Did they shut this down because they're afraid of what's in those documents? And if you're fed up with a two-tier justice system, hit that like button. I'll see you next time.